All right. Let's shift gears. Talk about something a little different. Let's talk about eclipses. Okay? Let's talk about eclipses. Now be very careful here. When you're reading on a test, for example, don't accidentally mix up the word eclipse and the word ellipse. I've seen that a lot. Those are two totally unrelated, separate words. Eclipse. What is an eclipse? When something eclipses another thing, what are we even talking about? What is an eclipse? When you are eclipsing something, it just means that something is being blocked. Okay? So check it out. Here we go. Eclipse. Okay? Eclipse. I just eclipsed myself. Okay? Boom. I had an eclipse right now. So, yeah, when one thing gets in the way of another thing, that's just an eclipse. Okay? So, like that game you play with babies, like, oh, woo, that's the eclipse game. Okay? Boom, boom, boom. By the way, you know how babies get upset when you do that? When you cover up your face? That's because babies don't understand stuff yet, and they think that when you're blocked, when they can't see you, they think you don't exist anymore. And that's why babies get upset when you play that game, and they're so happy when you come back, because they were like, oh, they're dead! They're dead! Oh, okay. Okay, it's okay. They're still here. Oh no, they're dead again! They're dead now! Oh, okay. So think about that next time you play that game with a little baby. You're kind of, you're really screwing with that baby. That's some messed up stuff, right? So be careful. Anyway, don't do the eclipse baby torture. Yes. Anyway, let's ignore that for a second. Let's talk about what kind of eclipses are we going to see in astronomy. There's two major types of eclipse. What kinds of eclipses are we going to talk about? A something eclipse and a something eclipse. And you may have seen one recently. Yeah, lunar and solar eclipses. So we got lunar eclipses. Let me zoom back out a little bit. That's good. Lunar eclipse. There we go. And a solar eclipse. And in both of them, the objects that are involved are the sun, the moon, and the earth. Okay? When the sun, the moon, and the earth perfectly line up, you're going to get these eclipses, okay? So in both of these pictures, let's imagine that the sun is way over here. Let's put the sun in the same place for both of them. And in a solar eclipse, we can't see the sun because the moon got in the way. So let me do this one first. In a solar eclipse, we can't see the sun because the moon got in the way. And that means that the moon is in between us and the sun. So here we go. Let's put the moon right here. And the earth right here. There we go. So that's going to give us a solar eclipse because the moon's shadow is on us. It's blocking our view of the sun. Okay? When we do the lunar eclipse, the moon is on the opposite side. And technically what's happening here is that we are blocking the moon's view of the sun. Someone said the moon photobomb. Yeah, in a solar eclipse, the moon you're trying to take a picture of the sun, but the moon's just photobombing, just blocking your view of that sun. Yes. But yeah, so in a lunar eclipse, you have sun, earth, moon. And in a solar eclipse, you have sun, moon, earth. Okay? But because they have to be lined up like this, that means we can only have eclipses during certain phases. Okay? So you might want to look at your moon phase diagram real quick. Might want to look at that real quick. Okay, because what we need to do is we need to figure out, let's do solar eclipse first. What phase would the moon be when it's right here? What phase is the moon during a solar eclipse? If it's directly between the Earth and the moon, see if we can figure out on this page which one would be between us and the sun. Now, here's the thing. You have to line it up like this, because the sun is over here and the Earth is here. This would be the moon that's in between us and the sun. So when it's at point A on here, so this is kind of upside down from our figure before. It's the new moon, okay? It's the new moon. Our page before was facing like this. Oh, I'm reversed. But this has the sun on this side. We want to have the sun on this side. So it has to be the new moon, okay? So, we can only have solar eclipses on new moons, okay? All right. What about a lunar eclipse? Lunar eclipse. On the lunar eclipse, the moon is going to be on the opposite side of the Earth from the sun. Using your moon phase diagram, which moon phase is on the opposite side of the Earth from the sun? Which phase is going to give us lunar eclipses? If we look right here, if the Earth is here and the sun is here, the opposite side would be right here, and that's your full moon, right? So full moons, we can only have lunar eclipses on full moons, and we can only have solar eclipses on new moons. Is it every single full moon and every single new moon? No, okay? It's not every single time. If it was every single full moon and every single new moon, nobody would care about eclipses, because we would have an eclipse, a solar eclipse every 4 weeks, and we would have a lunar eclipse every 4 weeks. So why is it that we don't have it every time? Well, it's because the moon's orbit is not perfectly lined up with our orbit. It's actually a little bit crooked. And so that means that most of the time it actually doesn't perfectly line up with the sun. Because the moon's orbit is crooked, most of the time the moon will be a little bit too high to block the sun or a little bit too low to block the sun, and vice versa for the other eclipses. So it has to be a close to perfect lineup to have an actual eclipse, okay? And let me ask you guys this. Do you guys know which one is more common? Is it more common to have a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse? And keep in mind when I'm asking this, which one do people freak out about seeing more, okay? Which one of these is more common? It's whichever one people care less about, right? But there's a reason for it. Yeah, lunar eclipses are much more common than solar eclipses. Solar eclipses, you probably only get a couple of chances in your life to see, but lunar eclipses, they'll happen a few times in your lifetime. Can you tell from this picture why a lunar eclipse would be more common than a solar eclipse? There's something in this picture that would make this easier to happen than this. What is it? Yeah, it's because the Earth's shadow is bigger. Because the Earth is bigger. Because the Earth's shadow is bigger and the moon is really tiny, it's much easier to get the moon in our shadow, right? And because the moon's shadow is very small, it's harder to hit that target, okay? So that's why the lunar eclipses happen more often, okay? Now,